Hello, my name is Mayanka. I am accounts and finance trainer from Uplatz. Today, in this class, we will discuss the topic of refund. This is part 2 of refund. Part 1 is already covered by us in our previous video, and this is in the continuation of part 1. So now we will start part 2 of refund. Refund under the GST. Refund under the GST. Point B and all other point which are relating to the concept of refund claim is already covered by us in part 1. Kindly consider part 1. Now we will discuss the procedure on receipt of refund claim. Now we will discuss the procedure on receipt of refund claim. Procedure on receipt of refund claim. Point number 1. Acknowledgment of refund claim. Acknowledgment of refund claim. Rule 90. Rule 90 of CGST rules 2017, acknowledgement of refund claim. Acknowledgement of refund claim. Number 1. Where the application relates to. When the application relates to claim for refund from the electronic cash ledger. When the application of the refund relates to the claim for refund from the electronic cash ledger, means the application relating to the claim of refund, the refund from electronic cash ledger. In this case, an acknowledgement in the prescribed form shall be made available to the applicant. An application in prescribed form. An application in the prescribed form shall be made available to the applicant. Which is clearly indicating the date of filing of the claim for refund. When there is any application which is filed for the refund from the electronic cash ledger, in this case an acknowledgement in the prescribed form, an acknowledgement in the prescribed form shall be made available to the applicant. It will be available to the applicant, which is clearly indicating the date of filing of claim for the refund. It will be clearly indicating the date when the application for the claim of refund is filed by the person. Other refund claim, when the application relates to the other refund claim, then the acknowledgement will be available by other mode. It will be applicable, or it will be eligible, or it will be available by other mode. Number 1, the application shall be forwarded to the proper officer. Number 1, the acknowledgement will be forwarded to the proper officer. It will be forwarded to the proper officer. Number 2, proper officer shall within the period of 15 days. The proper officer shall within the period of 15 days of filing of said application scrutinize the application for its completeness. First, the acknowledgement. First, the application shall be forwarded to proper officer. First, the application of refund. The application of refund shall be forwarded to the proper officer. Number 2, then the proper officer shall, within the period of 15 days from the date of receiving of such application or filing of such application, within the period of 15 days, scrutinize, he will scrutinize the application for its completeness. He will check whether the application is complete in all the terms or not. It is completed in all the terms or not. He will check within 15 days, within the period of 15 days. Where the application is found to be complete in the term of rule 89, whether it is found that whether at the scrutinization the proper officer found that it is complete in all the term, it is complete in all the term as per rule 89, then an acknowledgement in the prescribed form. When the proper officer, after the scrutinization, it was found that such application is completed in all the form or in all the term as per section 89, then an acknowledgement in the prescribed form. Then an acknowledgement in the prescribed form shall be made available to the applicant. If it is complete, then an acknowledgement in the prescribed form shall be made available to the applicant through the common portal electronic. Through the common portal, he will provide malab means proper officer will provide an acknowledgement in the prescribed form. In the prescribed form, the acknowledgement will be available on the common portal of GST electronically. Refund acknowledgement clearly indicating the date of furnishing of claim for the refund. The refund acknowledgement is a receipt which will clearly indicate the date of filing of the claim for refund, which will be clearly indicating the date of filing of refund of claim. Refund order is required to be issued. The refund order is required to be issued within the period of 60 days. The refund order is required to be issued within the period of 60 days from the date of filing claim for refund, as mentioned in the said acknowledgement. Is that when the acknowledgement is that when the acknowledgement is received, then the refund order is required to be issued. The refund order is required to be issued within the period of 60 days. Within the period of 60 days from the date of filing claim for the refund. Means the refund order is required to be issued within the 60 days from the date of filing claim for refund. For the example, the date of filing of claim is 1st January. 1st January. Then after filing the claim, such application is available to proper officer, means forwarded to proper officer, and the proper officer within the 15 days he will scrutinize it and he will check whether it is complete in all the aspect or not. After the scrutinization, he will provide an acknowledgement. Then the filing claim means the application is made on 1st January. So 60 days, the refund order will be required to be made within 60 days from the date of such 1st January, not from the date when the proper officer scrutinized it or he found it is complete. Not from that date. It is from the 1st January when the application is made by the such a person. Deficiency in refund claim. Deficiency in refund claim. Issuance of deficiency memo is that when the application is made by the taxpayer in the respect of in the respect of refund claim. The application is made by the taxpayer for the refund claim. And when the application received, then it will be forwarded to proper officer. The application for the refund claim will be forwarded to the proper officer, and the proper officer shall, within the period of 15 days, the proper officer shall, within the period of 15 days, he will scrutinize such application. He will check whether it is complete in all the aspect or not. He will check whether it is complete in all the aspects or not. He will check whether it is complete in all the aspects or not. Then, in the case of scrutinization, the proper officer found any deficiency, means which is noticed, any deficiency noticed by the proper officer. If the proper officer noticed any deficiency, then the proper officer shall communicate such deficiency to the applicant. If the proper officer found any of the deficiency, then such proper officer shall communicate such deficiency to the applicant. In deficiency memo, he will discuss such deficiency with the applicant in the deficiency memo, requiring him to file a fresh refund application after the rectification of such deficiency. He will he will requiring him or he will order him that a application, if fresh refund application is required to be filed after such rectification, means first you should clear such rectification, then after you will file a fresh refund application where deficiency has been communicated to the applicant under the CGST rule 2007, where the deficiency has been communicated to the applicant under CGST rules, under CGST rule 2017. The same shall also deemed to be have communicated under this rule along with deficiency which is communicated under CGST rule 2017, is that if any of the deficiency is found by the proper officer and the proper officer has been communicated these deficiency to the applicant under CGST rule 2017, then it is considered that, or it will be deemed that, such deficiency is also communicated under CGST rule, because the deficiency in the case of CGST and the SGST will be same. It will be same. So it will be considered, or it will be deemed that if the deficiency is discussed under the CGST rule, then it will be considered, or it will be deemed to be discussed under the SGST rule. So no need to discuss in both the act separately. In both cases, no need to discuss in both cases. If it is discussed under the SGST rule, then it is deemed that it is discussed or it is communicated under CGST rules. Now we will discuss the grant of provisional refund. Grant of provisional refund. Section 54, subsection 6, read with rule 91. Grant of provisional. Grant of provisional refund. Grant of provisional refund. Section 54, subsection 6, read with rule 91. Grant of provisional refund. GST law provides for grant of provisional refund of 90% of total refund claim. In case the claim relates for refund arising on the account of zero rated supply. Instead, provides GST law provides for the refund of a provisional refund of 90% of the total refund claim in the case when the claim is related to the zero rated supply. The provisional refund would be paid. The provisional refund would be paid within 7 days after giving an acknowledgement. If there is any provisional refund, then it would be paid within the 7 days. It would be paid within the 7 days after giving the acknowledgement. After giving the acknowledgement, it would be required to be paid within the 7 days. The remaining 10% can be refunded later after due verification of document which are furnished by the applicant. The remaining 10% can be refunded later after due verification of all the documents which are furnished by the applicant. The provisional refund would not be granted to the supplier. The provisional refund would not be granted to such supplier who was during any period of 5 years immediately preceding the refund period was prosecuted. If the supplier or if the person who refunded who make an application for the refunded and who has make an application for the refunded and he was prosecuted during any period of 5 years during any period of 5 years immediately preceding the refund period, then then the provisional refund is that 90% of total refund will not be eligible to him will not be eligible to him is that GST law contain the provision that he contain the provision of provisional refund. As per such provision, the as per such provision for grant of provisional refund of 90% of total refund means as per such provision the GST law can provide provisional refund and the amount of provisional refund shall not be more than 90%. It shall not be more than 90% of total refund claim. And it is available. The provision of a provisional refund will be available only in the case when the refund relates to or the refund arises on the account of zero rated supply. If there is any zero rated supply, then in the case of zero rated supply, the concept of or the provision of provisional refund is applicable. Such provisional, the amount of provisional refund shall not be more than 90%. It is up to 90% of total amount of refund claim by the registered person. The amount of provisional refund would be required to be paid. The amount of provisional refund would be required to be paid within the 7 days. Within 7 days after giving the acknowledgement. After giving the acknowledgement, the amount of refund is required to be paid within 7 days. Within 7 days after giving the acknowledgement. The remaining 10%. The remaining 10% can be refunded later after. The remaining 10% means 90% is available within the 7 days after giving the acknowledgement. And the remaining 10% of refund can be refunded later after due verification of document which is furnished by the applicant. The remaining 10% can be refunded. The remaining 10% can be refunded later after due verification of documents which is furnished by the applicant. The provisional refund would be granted. The provisional refund would be granted to such supplier who was the provisional refund would not be granted means the provision of provisional refund will not be available or it will not be eligible for those supplier who during the period of 5 years immediately preceding the refund period was prosecuted. If any of the period of within 5 years, if he is prosecuted, then the provision of provisional refund is not applicable, is not eligible for such supplier. It is not available for the such supplier. So in this case, it will be applicable only in the case of zero rated supply. When the refund arise on the account of zero rated supply, the maximum refund, provisional refund 90%, 10% is after due verification of all the documents, and it is not available for those supplier who are prosecuted in any of the period of 5 years immediately preceding the refund period. Section 54 subsection 6. Section 54 subsection 6 stipulates that Section 54 subsection 6 stipulates that the proper officer may, in the case of any claim for the refund on account of zero rated supply of goods, supply of service, or both, may be registered person. Section 54, subsection 6 explain that the proper officer may, in the case of any claim for the refund on account of zero rated supply of goods or services or both, made by the registered person. It should be made by the registered person. Other than such category of registered person as may be notified by the government on the recommendation of council. Other than such a category of registered person as may be notified by the government on the recommendation of council. Then the refund of the provisional base 90% of total amount so claim, excluding the amount of ITC which is provisionally accepted in such manner and subject to such condition and limitation or the safeguards as may be prescribed, and thereafter make an order under section 54 subsection 5 under section 54 subsection 5 for final settlement of the refund claim after due verification of document which is furnished by the applicant. Is that as per section 54 subsection 6 provisional assessment, the proper officer may, in the case of any claim of refund on account of zero rated supply, when there is any claim on account of zero rated supply of goods, supply of services, or supply of both, then it should be made by the proper sorry, it should be made by the registered person. Such claim should be made by the registered person. Other than such category of registered person as may be notified by the government on the recommendation of council, means the government on the recommendation of council notify the category of registered person. They will notify the particular category of person on the recommendation of GST council. Refund on the provisional basis, the refund on the provisional basis will be available 90% of total amount so claimed, excluding the amount of ITC which is provisionally accepted. In such a manner and subject to the condition, restrictions, limitation, and safeguards as may be prescribed. There are certain conditions, certain restrictions, certain limitations in such respect of such provisional refund. Thereafter, make an order. Then after the proper officer will make an order under section 54 subsection 5 for the final settlement. After properly verify all the documents After properly verifying all the information and documents which are furnished by the applicant, proper officer will issue an order under section 54 subsection 5 for the final settlement of refund claim. In the respect of refund claim, proper officer, after properly verifying all the information and all the documents which are furnished by the document, he will issue a order under section 54 about the final settlement of refund claim. Condition. What are the conditions? What are the limitation and safeguards? What are the conditions? What are the limitation and what are the safeguards? Has been prescribed under section 91. The provisional refund shall be granted subject to the condition. The provisional refund shall be granted subject to the certain condition. The condition that the person who is claiming the refund, the person who is claiming the refund has during any period of 5 years immediately preceding the tax period to which the claim for refund relate has not been prosecuted for any offense under the act or under existing law where the amount of tax evaded exceed 2.5 crore, where the amount of tax evaded exceed 2.5 crore. There is a condition that there is, in the case of provisional refund, there is a condition that the provisional assessment shall be granted subject to the condition that the person who is claiming the refund, has during any period of 5 years, immediately preceding the tax period, during any period of 5 years, immediately preceding the tax period to which the claim for refund relates, does not be prosecuted. Such a supplier should not be prosecuted for an offense under the act under the act or under the existing law. He should not be prosecuted for an offense under the act or under an existing law where the amount of the amount of tax which is evaded exceed 2.5 crore, where the amount of tax which is evaded more than 2.5 crore. If such condition is satisfied, then such a registered person can claim for the provisional refund. He can make an application for the provisional refund. The proper officer, after scrutiny of the claim and the evidence which is submitted in support thereof, the proper officer, after scrutinizing the claim, after scrutiny of the claim, and after scrutinizing all the evidences which are submitted by the such a taxpayer in support thereof, and on being prima facie satisfied that the amount claimed as refund is due to the applicant in the accordance with provision of section 56 subsection 4, then the proper officer shall make an order in the prescribed form and sanctioning the amount of refund which is due to the said applicant on the provisional basis within the period in the period which is not exceeding 7 days from the date of acknowledgement. Is that the after scrutinizing the claim and after checking all the evidences which are submitted in support thereof, and on prima facie satisfied that the amount which is claimed as refund is due to the applicant in the accordance with the provision of section 54(6). Accordance with the provision of section 54 subsection 6 shall make an order, then the proper officer is satisfied, then the proper officer shall make an order in the prescribed form. He shall make an order in the prescribed form and sanctioning, and he will sanction the amount of refund. He will also sanctioning the amount of refund which is due to the said applicant on the provisional basis, but it shall be sanctioned within the period of 7 days. It shall be sanctioned within the period of 7 days from the date of acknowledgement. From the date of acknowledgement, it should be sanctioned within 7 days. However, said order shall not be required to be revalidated by the proper officer. Such order need not be revalidated. Such order should not be required to be revalidated by the proper officer. Means such order is considered as final order. There is no need of revalidation of such order. The proper officer shall issue a payment order for the amount sanctioned. The proper officer shall issue a order in the respect of payment of such sanctioned amount. The same shall be electronically credited to any of the bank account of applicant, which is mentioned in his registration particulars or and as specified in the application of refund on the basis of consolidated payment advice. When the amount of refund is sanctioned by the proper officer, then the proper officer shall issue a payment, he shall issue a payment order for the payment of such sanctioned amount. The proper officer shall issue a he shall issue a payment order for the payment of such sanctioned amount. The same shall be electronically. The same such payment amount or such sanctioned amount should be electronically created. It should be electronically created to the account of applicant. It should be electronically created to the any account of the applicant which is mentioned in the registration particulars and as specified in the application of refund on the basis of a consolidated payment advice. However, the payment order shall be required to be revalidated. However, the payment order shall be required to be revalidated where the refund has not been disbursed within the same financial year in which the said payment order was issued. The payment order required to be revalidated. The payment order required to be revalidated when only when the refund has not been disbursed. The amount of refund has not been disbursed within the same financial year in which the said payment order was issued. Means the amount of the refund has not been disbursed within the same financial year in which payment order was received, then the order may be or the payment order shall be required to be revalidated. It should be revalidated. The central government shall disburse the refund based on the consolidated payment advice. On the basis of consolidated payment advice, the central government disburse the amount of refund. Disburse the amount of refund. Now we will discuss the order of refund. Order of refund. Section 54, subsection 5, subsection 7. Read with rule. Read with rule 97. Read with rule 97. Section 54, subsection 5. Section 54, subsection 5 stipulate that if on the receipt of any such application, Section 54, subsection 5 stipulate that if on the receipt of any such application. On the receipt of any such application, the proper officer is satisfied that the proper officer is satisfied that the whole or part of the amount which is claimed as refund is refundable, then he may make an order accordingly, and the whole amount so determined and the whole amount so determined shall be credited to the consumer welfare fund. If on the receipt of such application, the proper officer is satisfied that the whole or part of the amount, whole or the of part of the amount which is claimed as a refund is refundable, then he may make an order accordingly. Accordingly, he will make an order, and the amount so determined to be credited to the consumer welfare account. It will be credited to the consumer welfare account. However, in certain specific circumstances, certain specified circumstances, the refundable amount is to be paid to the applicant instead to be credited to the consumer welfare account. However, there are some certain cases, circumstances where the refundable amount is to be paid, to the applicant instead of in the place of transfer to consumer welfare account. It is to be paid to the applicant, not transfer to consumer welfare account. Refund order. What is the refund order? Rule 92 sub rule 1 provides that Rule 92 sub rule 1 provides that where upon examination of the application, the proper officer is satisfied that on the basis of examination, the proper officer is satisfied that a refund a refund a refund under section 54(5) is due and payable to the applicant, where on the basis of examination of the application, the proper officer is satisfied that a refund under section 54 subsection 5 is due and it is payable to the applicant, then in this case he shall make an order and sanctioning the amount of refund. He shall make an order when he is satisfied, then he shall make an order of sanctioning the amount of refund to which the applicant is entitled. Means he will sanction the amount of refund to the applicant who is entitled. Mentioning therein, he will mention the amount, if any, which is refundable to him. In such order, he will mention the amount. Which is refundable to him on the provisional basis. Number 2, the amount which is adjusted against any outstanding demand. Amount adjusted against any outstanding amount. And he will also mention the amount of balance which is refunded. Amount of refund completely adjusted against any outstanding demand. The amount of refund which is completely adjusted. Against any outstanding demand. In case where the amount of refund is completely adjusted. Against any outstanding demand on